Mark, you saw what happened in Texas overnight, millions left without power, people died. And it seems pretty clear that a reckless reliance on windmills is the cause of this disaster.
Okay, so that's a lie. It's a known lie. He knew he was lying while he said it. It's insane to say that the death toll, let alone the power being out across Texas and other parts of the country, people are still dealing with this as we're filming this, was a result of windmills being frozen, but he is a liar. That's what Tucker Carlson does. And so that was the first big segment on Fox News about this theory that all of this is due to the Green New Deal, which hasn't even passed. And then immediately the next morning, coverage of the outages during the February 16th edition of Fox and Friends first ran under the chyron, Texas power issues blamed on frozen wind turbines. Well, yeah, your guy did it the night before. I guess that's true. Fox and Friends framed discussion of the outages around the question of whether this is, quote, what America would look like under the Green New Deal. And you gotta love that. When they look at what we have without a thing and say that's what it would look like if we had the thing. Like the lines for food during the pandemic, this is what it would look like under communism. But we have it right now and it's capitalism right now. Those windmills are frozen, the natural gas places are frozen, everybody has no power. This is not, we don't have the Green New Deal, but it had taken off. And then throughout Fox News, you have things like this little screenshot, green energy disaster. Somehow frozen wind turbines worsen blackouts in Texas. They're at least backing off a little bit. Tucker Carlson said it caused it. They're just saying it made it a little bit worse. Well, look, it's not true. It's not remotely true, but that isn't stopping Fox News from inundating the media and especially virtually every right winger of the country in the idea that the reason things are so bad is because of green energy or the Green New Deal or something with AOC. Take a look at this video.
Casey just reported millions of Americans in the cold and dark say the lack of power is because of green energy policies and the vilification of oil, gas, and coal. The stuff that really keeps you warm. Coming up, we're looking out for you. The energy wars will focus in.
Okay, so yeah, millions of Americans are saying that. Well, potentially, maybe millions of Fox viewers are saying that now after you told them it over and over and over again, not only on things like Tucker Carlson, but Harris Faulkner, that's just their news. That's just the news. But now the news on Fox in the morning, in the middle of the day, is just playing and commenting on Tucker Carlson clips. It has become such a big part of it. It's obviously not true, and we're gonna go through the actual numbers and all of that, but JR, what do you think about this?
So just that starting off with that last clip. So it's, first off, they're talking about Texas primarily because of the storm. What is it about Texas that makes people now suddenly believe that the Green New Deal has been implemented in Texas? Where they like to talk about how conservative and anti-AOC like they are, and how anti-climate change that people that they like to elect are. Like now we're supposed to believe that this is some liberal bastion of climate appropriate energy production? Is that what we're supposed to believe is happening widespread all over Texas? The Green New Deal has been implemented solely in Texas, and that's the problem that's going on now. By the way, she also said this is due to that and attacks on natural energy, whatever term it was.
Vilification.
So vilification of natural energy like coal and oil and all that has made the winter storm destroy turbines and have everything blow up. How is talking about natural gas and everything make that happen? It doesn't make any sense. But let's continue this war on anybody who has any kind of productive, progressive way to go about energizing our nation and keeping people warm in times like this. They're actually vilifying the old way, and that makes bad things happen. How does that work? Give me the step-by-step direction of how that works. How someone talking about how bad our natural gas situation is, how that destroys things when a storm comes. How does that work?
I mean, look, we're gonna get into why the storm is as bad as it is, but it sort of makes sense that we're faced by a crisis. We have a solution proposed to the crisis. No. The solution caused the crisis, even though we haven't even done it, because causality works in reverse if that's gonna protect natural gas companies, coal companies, oil companies, and all of that. We're gonna show you more video, but really fast, just so that everybody understands. Although Tucker Carlson, who has a dozen producers, 20 producers could have looked this up, said it was because of the turbines. As Bloomberg notes, the region's grid operator has made clear that power plants across all resources, that means of all different types of power generation, had tripped offline. And in fact, data from the grid operator shows that generation from wind farms has actually been exceeding the agency's forecasts in recent days. The Washington Post Energy 202 blog reported that Carlson and the Wall Street Journal editorial boards blaming wind energy for the grid's failure is misleading, adding that while Texas's capacity to generate energy from the wind is down, with some turbines seized up, most of the power generation offline during the cold spell was supposed to come from traditional thermal plants. And an official with the Electric Reliability Council of Texas said yesterday that 16 gigawatts of renewable energy generation, mostly wind generation, were offline, but nearly double that, 30 gigawatts, had been lost from thermal sources, which includes gas, coal, and nuclear energy. And overall, you're gonna have to, well, apparently you don't have to provide evidence to say that it was green energy, you could just say it. When you understand that at this point of the year in Texas, wind only comprises less than 1/4 of their actual energy mix. So the idea that that going down would cause all the problems doesn't make sense, especially when traditional coal, oil, natural gas is actually shutting down at higher rates. The largest source of electricity in Texas is natural gas. Then you have wind and solar, you have coal and nuclear. They're all suffering, and wind and solar aren't even suffering the most, but all of that is inconvenient. You would need to actually care about the truth to dispatch your massive production team to find that out. Well, but John, I'm sure it's just an honest mistake, JR. Yeah. Tucker Carlson, sure, we disagree with him on some things, but he's just a good faith actor, you know? He makes mistakes from time to time. This isn't a purposeful lie that has now taken over Fox News to get people to not trust the Green New Deal. He's just a good faith actor.
That's all. And by the way, John, you did miss this segment. He came on later and he had an expert come on and talk about the makeup of the energy production and distribution within the state of Texas. He was also there to point out the fact that Texas is like the leading, what is it? The leading producer of all this kind of energy in the United States. I mean, what's the first thing you think about when this is traditionally what people say about Texas and like the oil rigs and everything? There was a team called the Houston Oilers in the National Football League because Texas is known for its oil production. Whether it's true or not, that's what they're known for. So now suddenly the Green New Deal has taken over Texas. Man, how did Ted Cruz let this happen? How did Governor Abbott let this happen? These guys are failures. I thought that they weren't progressives. Apparently they've been on board with the Green New Deal this whole time. By the way, remember at the beginning you talked about these predictions about what the world will be like. The presidency under Biden, fires, riots. Green New Deal, apparently, this is what the Green New Deal would look like. But at the same time, they also point out how they have no idea how the Green New Deal would work. Again, you can play both sides of the game as much as you want, but you can only fool the people who just wanna listen to what you have to say. They talk about how complicated and ridiculous the Green New Deal would be, but now they know how it works. I thought you didn't know how it would work and how it could possibly be implemented and have any kind of effectiveness.
It doesn't have to work. Because it's already responsible for Texas, even though it hasn't been passed.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.